There is an energy in this world that cannot be explained by textbooks or reduced to scientific equations. An energy that makes a man magnetic without him ever uttering a word. An energy that turns heads, makes people pause, and forces them to acknowledge that something rare and untouchable is walking past them. This is not charisma that can be faked, not confidence that can be rehearsed in front of a mirror, not bravado put on for show. This is the untouchable energy of semen retention, the living force that draws people in and makes them want to be closer to you, even if they cannot explain why. If you have not yet joined our private circle where we go deeper into these teachings, I urge you to join the Telegram channel whose link is in the description, because that is where transformation accelerates and you will never be left walking this path alone. When you practice semen retention, you begin to generate a power that has been lost in today's world of constant indulgence. Power that has been squandered through careless pleasure, mindless habits, and compulsive release. Most men are drained, hollow, and ungrounded because they have no idea what it feels like to hold their life force within them. They are like broken vessels, leaking what should have been their strength, their focus, and their authority. But the man who retains flips the script. He reverses the draining process. He begins to build day after day, layer after layer, a core of energy that cannot be purchased, cannot be faked, and cannot be stolen. It is untouchable. This energy radiates beyond the physical body, and people sense it before they even realize it. Women sense it as a pull. Men sense it as respect, or even intimidation. And society as a whole senses it as something rare and almost sacred. You might notice that when you walk into a room after practicing retention for weeks, the atmosphere changes. People turn toward you not because you are the loudest or the most attention-seeking, but because your aura enters before you speak. It is like an invisible presence that makes others notice. They cannot put it into words, but they feel a gravitational pull. They are drawn without knowing why. This is because the energy you hold within is not just chemical or physical. It is spiritual. It is archetypal. It is the essence of creation stored in your body and directed through your being. When you retain, you embody potential energy. And potential energy is far more powerful than energy wasted. People feel that potential, that compressed power waiting to be unleashed, and it commands respect. There is also something deeply ancient about this practice. In every tradition, in every culture, men who sought wisdom, strength, and influence understood the value of holding on to their seed. From the yogis in India to the Taoist masters in China, from the monks in monasteries to the warriors preparing for battle, semen retention was always known to sharpen the mind, strengthen the spirit, and transform ordinary men into leaders, sages, and conquerors. The modern world laughs at this because it has been conditioned to believe that indulgence is freedom. But indulgence is chains. Indulgence is weakness disguised as liberation. True freedom comes when you master yourself, when you no longer answer to your lowest urges. When you are in control of your body and your mind, that is the man who becomes untouchable. Think about how society trains men today. From a young age, you are told to release, to indulge, to normalize constant pleasure, to seek quick highs, to medicate boredom with release. Men are taught to be slaves to their urges, to be predictable, controllable, and soft. But when you step away from that cycle, when you take back your seed, when you say no to being drained by fleeting lust, you step into a realm that very few ever experience. You begin to separate yourself from the crowd. You begin to carry yourself differently. Your eyes hold fire, your voice carries authority, and your body radiates vitality. And without even trying, you draw people in. They may not even like you at first, because your energy threatens their comfort zones, but they cannot ignore you. You become unforgettable. The untouchable energy of semen retention is not about arrogance or superiority. It is about resonance. When you retain, your energy vibrates at a higher frequency. This frequency resonates with those who are seeking strength, inspiration, and leadership. That is why some people will be drawn to you with admiration, while others will envy or even resent you. You become a mirror to their own lack of discipline. But either way, you are impossible to overlook. The weak feel exposed in your presence because your very existence is a reminder of what they could be if they had the courage to discipline themselves. The strong feel inspired in your presence because they see a fellow traveler, someone who is also walking the warrior's path, your relationships change as well. Women feel a magnetic pull toward men on retention, not because of words or tricks, but because they feel the raw essence of masculinity. Feminine energy is naturally drawn to masculine energy, and retention amplifies your masculine essence tenfold. Women cannot fully explain it, but they sense the discipline, the power, the focus, the groundedness. They sense that you are not desperate for them, that you do not need their validation. And paradoxically, that makes them crave your presence more. Men on retention are less needy, less scattered, less weak. And that is exactly what women find irresistible, even if they cannot logically articulate it. At the same time, retention protects you from becoming addicted to women's attention. You no longer seek them out of emptiness, you attract them from fullness. That is the difference between chasing and drawing people in. This energy also elevates your ambitions. When you retain, your mind is sharper, your focus deeper, and your drive unstoppable. The energy that used to be wasted in indulgence is now transmuted into creativity, into productivity, into bold actions that push your life forward. You start to dream bigger because you have the vitality to pursue bigger dreams. You start to work harder because your body no longer feels drained. You start to achieve things that once felt impossible because you are tapping into your natural state of abundance. People around you notice this growth, this rise, and they cannot help but be intrigued by it. They sense that you are fueled by something beyond ordinary. That is why they are drawn to you. Retention makes you a living example of untapped human potential. You are proof that a man who controls himself can control his reality. And because so few men live this way, your presence becomes rare, almost mythical. People gossip about you, speculate about you, wonder about your secret. They may not know what it is, but they can feel that you are different. In a world where everyone looks the same, speaks the same, and indulges the same, you become the outlier. And people are always fascinated by outliers. But here's the thing, this energy is untouchable, not because others cannot feel it, but because they cannot take it from you. No one can steal the discipline you have built. No one can drain the power you have chosen to protect. It is untouchable because it belongs to you and only you. It is not dependent on others' approval, not dependent on status symbols, not dependent on external rewards. It is born from your own discipline, your own choices, your own mastery. That is why retention makes a man sovereign. He owns himself. And when you own yourself, you become magnetic to the world. Of course, this path is not easy. Retention is not for the faint of heart. You will be tempted, you will be tested, and you will be mocked. People will try to pull you back into the cycle of indulgence because your very discipline exposes their lack of it. But every time you resist, every time you stand strong, every time you remind yourself that your seed is sacred, your untouchable energy grows. You build momentum, and with each passing day you step further into a realm of mastery that most men never even glimpse. And when you reach that realm, you no longer chase attention. You attract it. You no longer beg for respect. You command it. You no longer live in weakness. You embody strength. That is the essence of semen retention, the untouchable energy that draws people in. It is not magic in the sense of fantasy, but it is magic in the sense that it transcends ordinary understanding. It is not easy, but it is worth every ounce of discipline. And if you are listening to this, it means you are ready to take this path more seriously. To become the man who no longer leaks his essence, but guards it like the treasure it is. Stay disciplined, stay vigilant, and watch how people begin to orbit around you, as if you were a source of gravity itself. That is the untouchable energy you were born to embody. And if you found value in this message, remember that your contribution helps this work reach more men who need it. At the end of this video, use the thanks button, because every contribution is important, no matter how small.